Hey, welcome to a new video. Everyone likes to visit an amusement park, but some theme parks were too ambitious, ended up costing too much money, or people had objections to them. Also, building a Disneyland-like theme park takes decades. Are you new to this channel? Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. And before we start, also like the video. Number 30.
The Timekeeper was an attraction in the Magic Kingdom at Walt Disney World. It was a time travel themed show, featuring a 360-degree film projected on 9 screens. The attraction revolved around the character of the Timekeeper, an audio animatronic robot voiced by Robin Williams. The Timekeeper invents a time machine, and along with his assistant Nine-Eye, takes guests on a journey through time. The story includes visits to various historical events and famous figures, such as Jules Verne, while traveling to different periods. The Timekeeper opened in Tomorrowland in the Magic Kingdom on November 21, 1994. It was initially a seasonal attraction and had intermittent operation before being permanently closed on February 26, 2006. Versions of the attraction also existed in other Disney parks, including Disneyland Paris, where it was known as Le Visionarium.
Number 29.
Roger Rabbit's Hollywood, also known as Maroon Studios, was a planned theme area based on Roger Rabbit and other characters from Toontown. It was intended to be part of Disney's MGM Studios, now known as Disney's Hollywood Studios. This area would have been located at the end of Sunset Boulevard, where the Rocket Roller Coaster now stands. Attractions for the studio area would have included a simulator ride through Toontown aboard a new character named Gus the Bus, a roller coaster based on the short film of the same name, and Baby Herman's Runaway Baby Buggy Ride, based on the short film Tummy Trouble. There was also Benny the Cab Ride, an attraction that eventually evolved into Roger Rabbit's Cartoon Spin, which was built at Disneyland in 1994. Many references to Roger Rabbit can still be found in Disney's Hollywood Studios. For example, the Maroon Studios sign featuring Baby Herman, Roger, and Jessica Rabbit still stands above a gift shop at the end of Hollywood Boulevard.
Number 28. You probably heard of the Chernobyl disaster and the ghost town it left behind. Just before this happened, an amusement park was being built in Pripyat. It was meant to celebrate Labor Day in 1986 and surprise the 50,000 residents and visitors. Unfortunately, the amusement park was only open for one day, only on April 27, 1986. The only people who ever tried the rides were those who helped evacuate people. A day after that, it was closed forever. This is also the only park on this list that was not finished because of funding problems or because people objected, but it was closed because it was too dangerous because of all the radiation. Today you can still see the Ferris wheel and the bumper cars standing. These attractions add an eerie reminder to how bad the Chernobyl disaster was. Number 27.
Discovery Bay, designed by Imagineer Tony Braxtor in the late 70s, was envisioned as a technological advanced city in the late 1800s San Francisco. Inspired by the film The Island at the Top of the World and the works of Jules Verne. Discovery Bay would have featured attractions based on 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea and the Island at the Top of the World. The proposed land would have included several notable features and attractions, such as Professor Marvel's balloon descent, a skyway-type experience that would connect Discovery Bay to the proposed Dumbo Circus expansion for Fantasyland. A new loading dock for the sailing ship Columbia would be built in Discovery Bay, eliminating the need for the attraction to share one with the Mark Twain Riverboat in Rivers of America. There were also plans to permanently dock the ship and turn it into a restaurant. Lastly, Discovery Bay would have its own train station as part of the Disneyland Railroad.
Number 26.
Dick Tracy's Crime Stoppers was a planned attraction based on Warren Beatty's 1990 film Dick Tracy, intended for the Sunset Boulevard section of Disney's Hollywood Studios. This attraction was expected to be a major success and the start of a new franchise for Disney. Imagineering was tasked with bringing the detective to the park. The proposed attraction would use the same enhanced motion vehicle tech featured in the Indiana Jones adventure and dinosaur attractions. It was to be suited in a large industrial warehouse, part of the 1920s Chicago-themed mini-area built around the attraction in Disney's Hollywood Studios. The attraction would feature a state-of-the-art ride system with vehicles capable of simulating high-speed chases and dramatic maneuvers. These vehicles, designed to look like 1930s police cars, would move along a track, while providing dynamic motion to enhance the feeling of a thrilling pursuit. Guests will be equipped with toy guns to shoot at their targets throughout the ride, similar to modern interactive attractions. The targets would represent various criminal elements and obstacles. The ride's narrative will follow Dick Tracy and the guests as they chase down iconic villains from the comic strip.
Number 25. The American city of Miami once had ambitious plans to build a theme park called Miami Interam. However, the theme park remained under development for several decades, and eventually they decided to never build it. All that remains of it are the drawings of the theme park. This theme park attracted many world-famous designers. The theme park was intended to be one big exhibit, showcasing the culture, government, and art of Central America, as well as Africa and Europe. Unfortunately, the company was not ready for a project of this magnitude, so Interam was scrapped. Number 24.
Tomorrowland 2055 was a proposed update and makeover of Tomorrowland and Disneyland, coinciding with Disneyland's 100th anniversary. The concept was developed by Walt Disney Imagineering in the early 90s to reimagine the future-themed land and provide guests with a futuristic experience. The vision for Tomorrowland 2055 included a futuristic approach, featuring a population entirely composed of aliens. It was designed to incorporate a unique storyline and a variety of attractions, including a comedic musical show called Plectus, which would have been an audio animatronic experience. The plan would have also included the integration of the extraterrestrial alien encounter attraction, originally planned for the Magic Kingdom in Florida. The overarching concept for Tomorrowland 2055 revolved around the idea of an alien metropolis, blending elements of retrofuturism with a more extraterrestrial vibe. The design aimed to create a bustling spaceport-like atmosphere, giving guests the feeling of visiting a vibrant alien city filled with advanced tech. One of the flagship attractions was intended to be a thrilling, immersive experience, where guests would witness a live alien demonstration that goes awry. However, despite the ambitious plans and concepts, Tomorrow 2055 was ultimately scrapped and never realized.
Number 23.
The Enchanted Snow Palace was a planned attraction for Fantasyland and Disneyland and the Magic Kingdom in the late 70s, inspired by Hans Christian Andersen's The Snow Queen. It was mainly the brainchild of Imagineer Mark Davis. This attraction was envisioned as a musical adventure, set to the music of the Nutcracker Suite, taking visitors through the icy kingdom of the Snow Queen. The Enchanted Snow Palace was briefly discussed in the bonus feature Defrosted, Disney's journey from Hans Christian Andersen to Frozen, which was on the Frozen Blu-ray release. This feature noted the striking resemblance between Mark Davis's Snow Queen and Elsa from Frozen. The Enchanted Snow Palace is distinct from Snow White's Enchanted Wish, a separate attraction in Fantasyland at Disneyland Park. Snow White's Enchanted Wish originally opened in 1955, as Snow White and her adventures were reimagined and renamed in 2021.
Number 22. Disney's America was a historic theme park built in the hills just outside of Haymarket in Washington, D.C. Unfortunately, this project was also never finished. Disney's America would have been 3,000 acres with 9 themed areas, each focused on a period of American history using VR technology. For example, one area would have focused on World War II battlefields. Another area had a 20th century farm, and others had factories dating back to the Industrial Revolution. It was to be the largest and most unique project Disney ever undertook. However, Disney received tremendous criticism and controversy when the idea was announced. One of the parts would feature controversial topics, such as the most disturbing aspects of American history. The project would have cost $600 million, which was labeled too expensive to Disney. The project, which had cost $600 million, was labeled as too insensitive, and Disney decided to withdraw from the project. Number 21.
What better reason to cancel a Disney attraction than the collapse of the Soviet Union? The Soviet Union Pavilion was a planned pavilion for Epcot's World Showcase in Walt Disney World. Alongside the gradual collapse of the Soviet Union in the early 1990s, which led to an unstable political state in Russia, the Russian government decided not to proceed with sponsoring the pavilion at Epcot, due to economic turmoil and political changes. The concept art for the Soviet Union Pavilion showed it would have been dominated by a recreation of St. Basil's Cathedral, a famous landmark in Moscow. The central attraction was planned to be Russia, the Bells of Change, a show combining audio animatronics, movie footage, and live actors to bring the country's history to life. With a focus on folklore, another attraction wanted to be based on Ivan and the Magic Pike, an Eastern European tale. It would have been a ride-through experience, set to open alongside the pavilion.
Number 20.
Disney's Mediterranean Resort was a planned luxury resort for Walt Disney World in Lake Buena Vista, Florida. The resort was to be themed after a small Greek island and located on the shores of the Seven Seas Lagoon. It was intended to rival the luxury and price of the Grand Floridian Resort. The cancellation of this resort was due to several factors. One reason was the swampy nature of the ground at the proposed site, which would have made construction too expensive. Additionally, changes of the monorail route affected the original plans for the resort. The land intended for the resort was cleared to improve sightlines for the Walt Disney World monorail system. Although this Mediterranean resort was never realized, Walt Disney World offers luxury resorts with unique themes and luxurious accommodations. One example is Disney's Riviera Resort, which captures the magic of Europe in the Mediterranean.
Number 19. In the early 1990s, the owner of Blockbuster Video had an idea that cost an enormous amount of money. He wanted to create a theme park with sports venues, and the themes were designed for 18 to 45-year-old people. Everything would feature technological attractions. It was the technical details that ultimately caused this project to flop. Blockbuster Video had invested more than $30 million, and it wasn't just the construction that had to be financed. It was also acquiring the necessary permits. It turned out that the location they had chosen was in a nature reserve near the Everglades, and the people who lived there were against the project. So the idea flopped, and Blockbuster had to sell it to the company called Viacom, which eventually decided to drop the project. However, this wasn't Blockbuster's first mistake, because in the earlier years, they had a chance to buy Netflix. But they didn't believe in the vision of online streaming, so today, Blockbuster no longer exists.
Number 18. Disney's Pop Century Resort is a value-priced resort at the Walt Disney World Resort in Lake Buena Vista, Florida. It opened on December 14, 2003, and is themed around 20th century American pop culture. Initially, the plans for the resort included two sections, the Classic Years and the Legendary Years. The Classic Years section, which opened in 2003, features buildings themed to pop culture of each decade from the 1950s to the 1990s. The resort was set to have a total of 5,760 rooms, equivalent to the combined room capacity of all three All-Star resorts. These rooms were planned to be spread across 20 buildings, with the resort opening in two separate phases. Inspired by the successful concept of Disney's All-Star Resorts, the theme of the new resort was brought to life through the use of larger-than-life decorations, rather than just relying on intricate architectural designs. According to the press release, the resort aimed to take guests on a nostalgic journey through the American pop culture, with iconic symbols and imagery commemorating the various decades of the 20th century. In January 2001, Disney unveiled the concept art for the resort, showcasing not only the presence of colossal decorations, but also the inclusion of gigantic phrases that extended above the roof level, such as platform shoes. In 2010, the infrastructure originally intended for the Legendary Years section was repurposed into a new resort, called Disney's Art of Animation.
Number 17.
Liberty Street was a proposed expansion for Disneyland in the 1950s. It was envisioned as a patriotic-themed area located behind the east side of Main Street, USA. The plans for Liberty Street were announced by Walt Disney in 1956, just 1 year after Disneyland opened. The concept for Liberty Street included attractions such as the Hall of Presidents, which would feature mannequins representing the American presidents of that time. Despite its cancellation, the idea and concepts for Liberty Street had a lasting impact on Disney parks. A significant influence can be seen in Liberty Square at Magic Kingdom and Walt Disney World. Opened in 1971, Liberty Square captures the spirit of Walt's plans for Liberty Street, and includes attractions like the Hall of Presidents. It's noteworthy that Liberty Street wasn't the only proposed expansion for the area between Main Street USA and Tomorrowland. Another proposed expansion was Edison Square, which would have been located parallel to Liberty Street.
Number 16. The construction of Space City, USA began in 1964, and it was not of this world. The idea came at a time when space was becoming very popular. They came up with the idea of raising $5 million from various investors. This theme park was inspired by Disneyland, and the media loved the idea. Disney World was not as big then as it is now, and they thought they could create a great rivalry with Space City. Space City would have had a moon-like restaurant in the shape of a mushroom. It would have had a flying saucer, a volcano, and time machines. These time machines would let you go through different themed areas with dinosaurs, and an area that looked like the moon. Unfortunately, it's unknown why the theme park never became a reality, but again, it probably had to do with money problems. Number 15.
The Lost Kingdom was a proposed expansion for Hong Kong Disneyland. It was set to be a themed area within the park, featuring an adventurer's outpost established in 1896 in a dense, uncharted rainforest, surrounded by mysterious and supernatural forces. The expansion was announced in 2016, as part of a multi-year plan to enhance Hong Kong Disneyland. The Lost Kingdom was intended to include Mystic Manor, the home of Lord Henry Mystic, a world traveler and adventurer, and his mysterious, mischievous monkey, Albert. The Lost Kingdom was to be themed around ancient mythical civilizations, combining elements of adventure and fantasy. The land would have transported guests to an exotic jungle-like environment filled with ruins, mythical creatures, and hidden treasures. Despite the cancellation, Hong Kong Disneyland has continued to expand and add new attractions. Notable additions include themed lands such as Mystic Point, Grizzly Gulch, and Toy Story Land, which have brought unique experiences and new attractions to the park.
Number 14.
Hyperion Warf was a planned redevelopment project for the Pleasure Island area of Disney Springs at Walt Disney World Resort. This project was announced by the Walt Disney Company on November 18, 2010. The concept for Hyperion Warf was to transform the former nightclub area into a vibrant waterfront district with new dining, shopping, and entertainment experiences. The name Hyperion was inspired by the Greek god of light, and the street where Walt Disney built his first major animation studio, Hyperion Avenue. However, the plans for Hyperion Warf were never realized. Disney ultimately decided against the name Hyperion Warf, and instead reopened the area as The Landing in April 2015, which is now part of the Disney Springs shopping and entertainment complex. Disney Springs is a larger reimagining of the area, focusing on 4 distinct neighborhoods: The Landing, Marketplace, Westside, and Town Center. It retains a waterfront theme, but is inspired by the rich history and natural beauty of Florida, with a storyline that ties the different neighborhoods together.
Number 13. You probably heard of Garfield the cat, but what about a theme park with a Garfield theme? Many people probably would have loved this, including me. The Garfield theme park was planned to be built in the 1990s, and the entire theme park was to be 530 acres. Over $120 million was allocated for these plans. It would be part of the Entertainment City, a complex that included hotels, golf courses, and a water park. The Garfield theme park would have also had multiple water rides and roller coasters. However, a nearby amusement park did not like this idea, and they made sure that the construction of the Garfield theme park couldn't continue. After several lawsuits, the project was cancelled in 2002.
Number 12. The concept for Mickey's Movie Land evolved over the years and had various iterations. One of the earliest versions of the concept was called Mickey's Madhouse, developed by Ward Kimball in 1976. It was envisioned as a wild mouse-style dark ride that would take guests through a world of early black and white Mickey Mouse cartoons. Later versions of the concept were known as Mickey's Movie Land and Mickey Studio Tour, which would have featured a madcap Disney studio tour with various characters and set pieces. Despite the plans and concepts, Mickey's Movie Land was never built at Disneyland. However, it was worth noting that another attraction, called Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, had been developed and opened at Disneyland Hollywood Studios in Florida and Disneyland Resort in California. The attraction is based on the 2010s Mickey Mouse cartoons and features an original story in a stylized world.
Number 11.
The Equatorial Africa Pavilion was a planned but never realized pavilion for the World Showcase in Epcot Center. It was intended to be part of the originally proposed lineup in 1979, with a planned opening in 1983. The pavilion was to be located between the China and Germany pavilions, and was meant to pay tribute to the group of African countries along the equator. It was designated as a multinational pavilion, with the intent of sharing the costs among several African nations. However, only Kenya, Senegal, and Ivory Coast signed letters of intent to participate in the pavilion. Despite never being built, the Equatorial Africa Pavilion came closest to realization. Both films for the pavilion were already made, and a model of this pavilion was showcased during Epcot's opening day television broadcast. The pavilion was planned to offer a Pan-African experience, featuring different parts of East and West Africa along the equatorial belt. One of the main shows in the pavilion was to be called Heartbeat of Africa, which would tell the story of the history of equatorial Africa through the music of its various cultures.
Number 10. Of course, the idea of Six Flags in Dubai sounds great. Unfortunately, the Six Flags theme park in Dubai never officially opened. The idea was to have it built right next to the Dubai parks and resorts. The expected cost? An astounding $2.6 billion. Six Flags Dubai was aimed at all ages and divided into 6 different themed areas: Thrill Seeker Plaza, Magic Mountain, Fiesta Texas, Great Escape, Great Adventure, and Great America. The plan was also to build a total of 6 incredible roller coasters, 4 aerial rides, and an attraction that was a whopping 1,115 feet. According to a statement from the theme park in 2016, the world's largest roller coaster was meant to be built here. However, construction was halted after a while, and the company decided to never finish this amusement park. Could you imagine the revenue Six Flags Dubai would have generated?
Number 9. The Western River Expedition was an unbuilt attraction originally planned for the Magic Kingdom at Walt Disney World. It was intended to be a Western-themed boat ride in Frontierland. This idea emerged because when the Magic Kingdom opened in 1971, there was no Pirates of the Caribbean attraction. Disney animator Mark Davis conceived the concept of the Western River Expedition as an alternative to the Caribbean theme. However, due to budget cuts and a guest demand for Pirates of the Caribbean, the Western River Expedition was never built. The land, originally designated for the attraction, eventually became the site of Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. The Western River Expedition was an ambitious project, intended to be a completely original, musical, and animatronic-filled adventure through the Wild West. Various factors, including changes in Disney's management, concerns about stereotypes, and the popularity of other projects, ultimately led to the cancellation of this ride.
Number 8.
Revolutions, Iranian leaders, and monorails. This cancelled resort was quite complicated. Disney's Persian Resort was a planned theme hotel for the Walt Disney World Resort in Lake Buena Vista, Florida. The resort was envisioned as a magnificent complex, replicating the grandeur of Middle Eastern architecture, complete with elegant spires and majestic domes. One of the exciting features of the resort was the proposed monorail route that would connect it to the Magic Kingdom theme park. However, due to the 1973 oil crisis, the project was cancelled, along with Disney's Venetian Resort at Disney's Asian Resort. A public figure in Iran had offered to fund the construction and operation of the resort, but after the Iranian Revolution, the project was permanently shelved. The resort was intended to be located on the shores of Bay Lake, rather than Seven Seas Lagoon like the other resorts. Early drawings of the resort showed a circular layout with a central building. The entrance area and meeting facilities would be housed in the main building with a 24-foot high dome, and the resort's main colors would be white and blue.
Number 7. One of Disney's biggest flops is Disney Westcott. This park was meant to be a different direction than the magical Magic Kingdom, where Mickey and his friends were the residents. Disney Westcott was not a small park, because building it ran into the billions of dollars. In the first year alone, it cost $1.2 billion, which was only 8% of the entire park. The theme park was supposed to serve as a World's Fair and show you what the future would look like. But stepping into the future was more expensive than initially calculated. Attractions like a huge spaceship, exhibits, places to spend the night, and more ambitious ideas would have cost Disney billions of more dollars. There wasn't enough money for this, so unfortunately, the park was never completed.
Number 6. Fire Mountain was a planned roller coaster attraction for Adventureland in the Magic Kingdom that was never built. The concept for Fire Mountain emerged in the mid-1990s, after the closure of the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea submarine voyage attraction. This roller coaster was intended to be based on the 2001 Disney animated film Atlantis: The Lost Empire. The planned location for Fire Mountain was adjacent to Pirates of the Caribbean and Adventureland. It was envisioned as a thrilling roller coaster experience that would combine elements of a standard coaster and a flying coaster. The ride would have featured a track that switched from below the guests to above them, with vehicles that would have guests flying flat to simulate the sensation of flying like a bird. The project for Fire Mountain, along with another planned attraction called Bald Mountain, was ultimately cancelled. The underperformance of the film Atlantis: The Lost Empire and the decline of tourism after 9/11 was cited as factors contributing to its cancellation. Despite the cancellation, rumors and speculation about the revival of Fire Mountain have persisted over the years. Some rumors have suggested a potential Moana theme for the attraction, but so far there's been no official announcements or progress on this project.
Number 5.
Edison Square was a planned area to be located between Tomorrowland and Main Street USA and Disneyland, but it was never built. The concept for Edison Square was developed in the mid-1950s and was designed as a 1920s suburb, complete with a statue of Thomas Edison. This area would have extended Main Street USA, giving the classic vehicles of Main Street a new section to explore and expanding the Americans theme into a new part of the park. One of the main attractions planned for Edison Square was Harnessing the Lightning, which would have told the history of electricity and its impact on the American family. The area also intended to feature recreations of St. Basil's Cathedral and Red Square, with 2 rides, a sled ride through the Russian scenery and a ride-through attraction based on a famous Russian folktale. Despite appearing on the Disneyland map in 1958 and remaining there until 1964, Edison Square was never realized. It was considered one of the lost lands and attractions from Walt Disney's original theme park.
Number 4. From the beginning, it was intended that Wonderland Amusement Park would be the largest theme park in China. The idea behind it was to surpass Disneyland. Wonderland Amusement Park stretched over a whopping 120 acres in the Chongqing district, just 20 minutes from Beijing. But in 1998, without notice, construction stopped. The park was almost finished, and many people could not wait to visit it. They had all kinds of Disney-inspired attractions, including a giant castle in the center. But unfortunately, rumors began to spread that the park was having a lot of money problems. This was one of the reasons why the park was never finished. But according to the staff, it was also said to be teeming with ghosts. It was said that the Wonderland Amusement Park was accidentally built on a mass grave. The unfinished park still stands today, but it's been completely taken over by nature. Farmers now use the area to raise livestock and grow crops.
Number 3. Lilliputian Land was a concept for a never-built section of Disneyland, inspired by the fantastical world of Gulliver's Travels. In the late 1950s, Walt Disney and his team brainstormed ideas for park expansions, leading to the concept of Lilliputian Land. This area would have transported visitors as giants into the tiny world of the Lilliputians, inspired by Jonathan Swift's classic novel. The aim was to create a meticulously designed area replicating the intricate details of the miniature civilization. Visitors would have explored the quaint streets of Lilliput, complete with tiny houses, shops, and even bustling markets. One of the main attractions planned for this place was a miniaturized version of the Lilliputian Royal Palace. Another proposed attraction was the Lilliputian Village, where visitors can interact with the Lilliputian inhabitants. This would have been a live exhibit, with actors dressed as Lilliputians going about their daily activities. Guests could have observed the Lilliputians at work, engaged in trades and crafts such as weaving, blacksmithing, and cooking. Additionally, there were plans for a thrilling ride called Gulliver's Adventure, which would have taken guests on a simulated journey through the various lands depicted in Gulliver's Travels. Riders would have experienced the excitement and even dangers that Gulliver encountered, including encounters with giants, pirates, and fantastical creatures. Unfortunately, due to budget constraints and logistical challenges, Lilliputian Land remained a concept and was never fully realized at Disneyland.
Number 2.
In the 1980s, as part of the expansion plans for the World Showcase at Epcot, Disney considered adding several new countries. In 1981, the addition of Israel was announced, with plans to place it between the Morocco and Japan pavilions. proposed Israel Pavilion was to feature an attraction called A Journey to Jerusalem, taking guests on an engaging journey through the city's history. Most countries in the World Showcase initially funded their own pavilions, giving them influence over how their history, culture, and country were represented. Israel's involvement included a significant financial contribution of $1.8 million from the Israeli Foreign Ministry. The director of the Jewish Museum in Tel Aviv was also promised to bring archaeological artifacts. As a result, Israel expected the Walt Disney World Resort to declare Jerusalem as the country's capital. However, this claim was opposed by many other nations in the Middle East due to the Six-Day War of 1967, and ongoing tensions regarding the recognition of Jerusalem as Israel's capital. By 1984, the billboards promoting the new Israeli pavilion were removed, and the project was ultimately cancelled.
Number 1. On October 23, 2003, Dubai announced that it was going to build a giant theme park, twice the size of Walt Disney World Resort in Florida, called Dubai Land. Dubai was about to build the largest theme park in the world, and it would cover nearly 3 billion square meters. The infrastructure alone would have cost $64 billion. Dubai Land would be home to a total of 45 mega projects, and more than 200 other projects with the most ambitious attractions of all time. Dubai Land was to be built in 4 phases, each lasting 5 years. But what happened? A project of this magnitude faced major money problems after the 2008 financial crisis. So it was decided to scrap this mega project. Which theme park would you like to visit? If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos we've made, click one on the screen or take a look at the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.